Hi everyone, welcome to the second Skills Workshop Virtual Careers Fair. For those of you who have been here before and followed the programme since June, welcome back. And to anyone joining for the first time, welcome and thank you for joining us. So I am Emma from Hymans Robertson, and alongside 60 different firms, we've created the Skills Workshop to give you the skills, knowledge and insight you need to prepare for a career within investment and pensions consultancy. So these sessions were created to help increase application success, and a reminder that all of our sessions are free to register and the details have been put in the chat box for you to do so. Our Virtual Careers Fair is unlike any other, so over the months of September and October we are featuring 41 different firms every single day for 1 hour, each firm telling you what they do, how they hire and what skills you need to demonstrate to stand out from other applicants in order to be successful. It's a really competitive world out there, and tonight we are here to talk about our very own firm, Hymans Robertson. So today I'm joined by Laura Tarbett, who is one of our recruitment coordinators, and Rebecca, who is one of our DC consultants. So between us, we'll introduce our firm, talk about what we do, the different areas of our business. I'm sure some of you will know what we do, but we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. And there are a lot of business units within Hymans that we'll kind of talk about as well. We'll touch on our programmes and how you can apply. And we'll also talk about the deadlines and other bits of information that you need in order to differentiate your application. So please listen carefully. There will be a lot of information, a lot of helpful tips and tricks for you. So firstly, I'll ask the team to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they do, and I will start first of all. So my name is Emma Campbell. So I'm a HR advisor within Hymans Robertson. I'm based in our Glasgow office. My role is really that of a generalist HR advisor, so I cover all aspects of HR, including recruitment, employee relations, employee engagement, and really that full HR life cycle. I've been at Hymans just coming up for 2 years, and I've worked with a number of different business units within Hymans at my time here, currently supporting the investment business unit, DC consulting, and actuarial. So Laura, I'll pass over to you for an introduction if that's okay.
Yeah, great. Hi everyone. I'm Laura and I've been with Hymans now for coming up on 4 years. I'm one of the recruitment coordinators at Hymans, and we deal with kind of all aspects across all the business units of Hymans. For the recruitment of the grad programme, we'll be your first port of call. So if you get any questions or queries, then we're definitely the first ones to come to. But apart from that, I think, yeah, like I say, we were first port of call for any of your grad recruitment questions.
Great, thank you, Laura. And Rebecca?
Hi everyone. So I'm Rebecca, and as Emma mentioned, I'm part of the DC team. I'm based in London and I've been with the team for almost 2 years now, but you'll hear a little bit more about what I do later.
Great, thank you so much. So now that you know who we are, just a quick reminder that this is a webinar, so unfortunately we can't see your faces, but we do ask that you use the Q&A function and we will try to get through as many questions as possible. So what we'll do now is we will begin to share some slides with you, just to chat through a little bit more about Hymans Robertson and what we do, and chat through some of our recruitment processes, so we can get started into tonight's workshop. So first of all, just want to give a bit of an overview of who we are. So hopefully everyone can see the screen. I am just relying on technology not letting me down tonight, so hopefully you can all see the slides. So first of all, we're going to cover who we are, applying to a role and completing an application form for Hymans, preparing for interviews, key recruitment dates and available roles. Then we're going to talk about Rebecca's career path. She's going to give us an oversight into her journey with Hymans so far and how she got here. And then we will leave around 25 minutes to half an hour at the end for questions. So as I said, please do use the Q&A box to ask us any questions that you have. And as I said, we will get through as many of them as possible. So just to start us off with who we are. So Hymans Robertson is a partnership, so we are independently owned, and what we mean by that is that we are an LLP, so a limited liability partnership, and it's a partnership where all of our partners work within the business. So we are fully owned by our working members, which means we are fully independent and in charge of our own future, making this a really great place to work and serve the best interests of our clients and each other. We were established in 1921, so we have just reached our 100th birthday this year, albeit the celebrations have been dampened a little by the ongoing pandemic. However, we have had some chance to celebrate virtually and really look back on our achievements over the past 100 years. We've also reached another big milestone this year, and that is reaching 1,000 employees. So Hymans has seen some significant growth over the past few years, and we have also now reached that milestone of employing over 1,000 people, which is some huge growth from where we were even say 5 years ago. We do have 4 main offices, so we are based throughout the UK. So we have 2 offices in Scotland, and they are in Glasgow and Edinburgh, and we have 2 offices in England, which are in London and Birmingham. So we do have quite a presence throughout the UK. Now, within Hymans, we have what we call a one firm approach. So we recognise that we work within different markets, we work within different business units. However, we always do what's in the best interest of the firm. So we work with that one firm approach of the partners leading the business, ensuring that we do work together in that one firm approach and share success as a firm. So just moving on then to talk about our individual business units. So this is our operating model here, and this is just to give you a flavour of the business units within Hymans. So we do operate within 3 markets. We operate within the pensions market, we operate within the financial services market, and the individual wealth market. Now, majority, if not all, of our graduate roles will come in through the pensions market, with the exception of IFS, which is insurance and financial services. They sit within the financial services market. So we have a number of different business units, including actuarial, DC consulting, which Rebecca will go into in a little bit more detail later on. We also have the investment business unit, and we have third-party administration services as well. Now, you'll also see there that we have something called I&A. What that is that's our insights and analytics business unit. So we recognise as a firm that digital is now so important. So we have that embedded within our business units, and insights and analytics is really a hub of talented professionals who are developers, business analysts, and they really work with all of the different business units to ensure that we really are digital, forward thinking, innovative, to ensure that we future-proof the success of the firm. So that is really an overview of the business units. As I said, Rebecca will go into some further detail regarding DC in particular and her career path, but hopefully that gives you a flavour of the type of work that we do in Hymans. So next up, I just want to cover applying to a role and completing an application form for Hymans. So if you're looking to come into a graduate role or an internship, that will be an application form process. For all other roles, our experienced hire roles, that is submitting a CV. So slightly different process, and I will touch on both. But again, if you have any questions, please just write them in the chat and we can cover those. So for those who are looking to apply to an experienced hire role, the one thing you need to have is a CV. So for anyone that doesn't have a CV, it can be a little bit daunting to start off with. So really looking to outline what you're looking for. So key parts that form a CV are any relevant skills and experience and education that you have. It's also your first opportunity to show your employer who you are. So it's important that you really capture all of that relevant information. This is really your opportunity to make it eye-catching and really make sure that all of those relevant skills and experience are on show for the employer to view at a glance. You always want to give a little bit of a brief explanation of yourself and the opportunity that you're looking for. You'll also talk about any work experience that you've had, so highlight some key responsibilities, and also look at the job spec as well. So actually, what is it that this company is looking for, and make sure that that really comes through in your CV. So I myself review CVs on a regular basis. I'm heavily involved in the recruitment process, and I always look for some of those key skills that jump out. So I will always look at the job spec, and think, what exactly are we looking for here with this role? And look at CVs that really capture some of those key responsibilities, key skills, and really make it clear that they have that relevant experience. So I would always say that with anything, when you're applying for a role, make sure you're very familiar with the job spec. So important, and really make sure you tailor any CV or application form to that job spec. It's something that makes your application stand out to employers and really make sure that you're at the top of that selection pile. Something else I think is really important as well is don't make your CV too lengthy. I appreciate you want to get as much in there as possible. You want to talk about all of your relevant experience. You want to talk about yourself and your education, which is great, but you want to make sure that you're really highlighting the key parts of that, and it's not something that's onerous to read for the employer. You really want to make it kind of a page and a half maximum, really just capturing those key points. The more concise you can make it, the better, without ensuring that you're missing anything off. Something else is talk about what skills you have that make you really stand out. So for instance, you're looking for an opportunity to utilise your interest in investment and have the opportunity to work in a client-facing role because I have experience of doing X in the past. So really important that you really highlight what makes you stand out, and again, bringing it back to that job spec. So other points you can include in your CV. So as you increase your experience in a working environment, you want to focus more on the most relevant and recent skills. So you may then cut down on some of the information from your previous roles. So actually, if you were in a role 10 years ago that's maybe no longer relevant to the career path you want to take, you may not need to include that anymore in your CV. And always ask them to review your CV, so even just for basic spelling and grammar errors, but also just good to have a second pair of eyes to really understand that it does read properly. So just moving on then to the application form. So first things first, when applying to a role, Hymans, like most other companies, are keen to know whether you need any extra support through the application process. So whether you may need some extra time with tests or taking time to explain questions more clearly at interview so you feel comfortable. Please do feel comfortable sharing this, as it does help make the experience more enjoyable and reassure us that we're supporting you the best we can. So please don't be afraid to speak up should you need any extra support during that application process. Secondly, do you meet the minimum entry criteria? So for some roles, you are required to have a minimum qualification, and this is sometimes due to professional exams aligned to the role, or it will help you carry out the role at hand. If for any reason you're not sure whether you do meet the minimum criteria, please do reach out to the recruitment team and they will be more than happy to chat to you and understand your qualifications. Take your time reviewing and completing each question. So try and put yourself in the mind of the employer and what they might like to know or hear from you. So create your answers specifically to the company you're applying for. So try not to copy and paste, as you may not answer what's required. Really focus on tailoring those answers to the company. We want to know what you know about Hymans. We want to know why you want to work at Hymans. So the more specific you can make your answers, the better. Sorry, I've just managed to skip on there, apologies. Be yourself. So we really want people to showcase themselves. We want your personality, you to come through in that process. So it's just important that you write truthfully, and we recognise that everybody brings different qualities to the business. So please do be yourself in that application process. And keep a copy of your application for references at later stages. So we always say, make sure you keep a copy of your application. A lot of times it will be referred back to as part of the interview process, and just really important that you're able to refer back to that. Also just to jog your memory on what you've answered. We know with the graduate application, you can apply for a lot of roles at the one time, and just really good to refamiliarise yourself with your application ahead of any interview. So just moving on then to preparing for interviews. So really important to be yourself and think about your strengths. So understand, what exactly can I bring to this company if I'm successful? What strengths am I bringing here? Ask family and friends to give you some feedback on what they think your strengths are and suggest any areas for improvement. It's always good to get an outside view in that as well. And specifically think of the strengths that you think might be needed for the role you're applying for. And also think of examples of when you've demonstrated these strengths. So people might ask what your strength is and when you have demonstrated that. And really important that you're able to give a real life example of when you have been able to use that strength. Secondly, go to careers fairs and company insight open days. So obviously all of you are here at the skills workshop, which is fantastic, but you'll find Hymans, including a lot of other companies, do run further insight and open days. Really important that you go along to them, really to understand that what the company do, what their culture is, does it align with you, and really to get as much information and a feel for that company, and also to ask questions as well. So things may not be clear through the job spec, or you may have specific questions, and this is a really good opportunity to understand and be able to get the answers to those. Thirdly, speak to people in the industry or connect with people on LinkedIn. There's no better kind of information than firsthand from people that work within the company. Reach out to them in LinkedIn, maybe ask them kind of what they do day to day in their role, connect with them, try and understand their career path. There is absolutely no harm in doing that. And also just speaking to people in the wider industry, what they enjoy about the industry, maybe what they don't enjoy, really to understand if it is a good fit for you. It is so important that what you're doing you feel is a good fit for you and is something that you are genuinely interested in. And lastly, do your research in the company. So I'll cover this in a little bit more detail in the next slides, but it's something we ask at every stage of the application process. So when you're applying, we ask, what do you know about Hymans Robertson and why would you like to work here? What do you know about our culture, our values? And again, I ask it in every interview I'm involved in. It's one of the key things I say, you cannot do too much research on the company that you're applying for. Again, also for your own knowledge, is it the right fit for you? Does it fit with your own values? So just moving on to talk about that a little bit more. So with regards to research, so really understanding what the company does, so what industry we operate in, who our competitors are, who our clients are, and these are things that can really set you apart from the competition. With graduate roles, we have people applying that maybe have left university with very similar qualifications, had very similar career path to date, and things like this is what can really set you apart from other people. Coming into interview or applying for a role and really making it clear that you have a genuine interest in working here, you've done your research, you know what we do, and this really does stick in the mind of interviewers. It's really important to understand the culture as well. As I said, Hymans culture is something that's hugely important and something we speak about a lot. So really good to understand what our culture is. So what are the company values? Do they resonate with you? Will you enjoy working here? Can you meet with anyone from this firm on campus or at the office? As I said, connect on LinkedIn. We have our own kind of careers fairs and things that we attend. So we're more than happy to answer any questions you have. Please reach out to the recruitment team if you have any questions. If there's maybe not any suitable opportunities at the moment, but you'd like to know about future opportunities, again, please reach out and ask that. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you have to ensure that you have as full a picture of Hymans as possible. And what's really important with that company knowledge is don't just look at the first page of the website. We do give a bit of an overview of what Hymans does in the first page, but really understanding what the details of what we do and being able to talk about it confidently is really what sets you apart. It will show that you're really interested in the firm that you've applied to work for. And some companies, including ourselves, will publish some papers. We have podcasts. So really good to get in and listen to them as well, really to get an inside view of what it is that we do. And the career path and development opportunity is really important as well. So how do you want to progress your career within Hymans? And how can we support that? So are the professional exams? What is the commitment to these? Again, just really important that you understand kind of all of that detail. And lastly, review the job description and the requirements for the position. So again, understanding that what skills can I bring to this role? Is this kind of role that I want to be doing? Really understanding that job spec is so important as well. And just the last slide I'm going to talk about then is the opportunities at Hymans. So we do have trainee consultant internship insight days, and the details are on the website at readymag.com. What we will do is we can hopefully put that in the chat box. Laura, I'm not sure if you're maybe able to copy that into the chat box, just that link, just so that everyone has that. And you can also visit www.hymans.co.uk to register your interest. Now, just with regards to key dates, all of our graduate applications do open on Monday, the 20th of September, and they close on the 31st of October. So you do have around 5 weeks to apply for all of our graduate positions. So please do keep those key dates in mind, sorry. And our intern applications open on the 4th of October and are open until the 14th of November. So if you're interested in either our graduate applications or our intern applications, please do keep in mind those dates. If ahead of those dates you do have any questions, again, please do get in touch with our recruitment team and they are happy to help. If you're looking at some of our non-student recruitment opportunities, we have successfully hired a number of candidates for apprenticeships, and we also have a number of experienced hire roles as well. And all of these can be found on our Hymans Robertson career page. So what I will do now is I will pass over to Rebecca, who will chat you through her journey to Hymans and her career so far.
So I thought I'd start off with a little bit of background about me. So I started off living in Bristol, and in Bristol, you see there a photo of the Clifton Suspension Bridge. So I started off and I wanted to be an engineer. So I went to University of Surrey, and as you can see, I studied engineering. Following university, I then graduated and I went to work with an engineering company for a couple of years before realizing that actually perhaps my future might lie elsewhere. So I applied to Hymans and here I am. But I think for me, that just highlights that actually you don't need just one background. We're not looking for just a specific background. Actually, Hymans recognizes the value in all different sorts of career paths. So Emma, if we can move on to the next one. So since being with Hymans, I've had the opportunity to study for the Investments Management Certificate, which is also known as the IMC. I'm currently studying the Chartered Financial Analyst exams, so the CFA, which is commonly known as. However, within the DC team, there are also people who study to become actuaries, and we've also got the option to do the certificate in ESG investing. I think there are a couple of other opportunities as well, but these are the key ones that we really focus on. And Hymans are really, really supportive as well of you studying. So that's a really key part of Hymans. So if we, Emma, thank you. So defined contribution consulting, which we refer to as DCC. So I'm aware a lot of people probably don't have a background in pensions and might not actually know what DC really stands for. So DC is really a type of pension scheme. And it's probably what a lot of younger people have as their pension. So it's where you as the member contribute some of your salary into a pot and also your employer contributes money into a pot. So that's essentially what the type of plan is. So that's what we focus on. And some of the key aspects of this are looking at member outcomes. So because you're investing your own money and you're looking forward to the future, you don't have this guaranteed pot at retirement. It's really making sure that actually the members' benefits are at the heart of everything that we do and that we're looking ahead to make sure that people really do get the most of what they can at retirement. So part of this is helping look at schemes, investment strategies. So when you join a company, you're automatically enrolled in a pension plan, and pension plans are required to have a default investment strategy. So part of our role is supporting the trustee of the plan to actually design that investment strategy to make sure that it's suitable for their membership and is achieving what they're hoping to achieve. We then also look at scheme governance, so to actually make sure that the schemes are being run well, to make sure that actually complying with legislation and that you're doing everything as it really should be done. And then finally, looking at retirement planning, so looking ahead and actually helping people plan or helping schemes plan ahead to what members might need at retirement and making sure that they're going to hit key goals. Emma, if we can move on. So I just thought I'd pop down here some of really my day-to-day kind of my role and key tasks. I mean, it's much broader, but I thought just a few key points would be quite helpful to really focus on. So as I've said, we help help design investment strategies. So part of that also involves monitoring and reporting of these investment strategies and the funds that we use within them. And so that's quite often done. You do your reporting on a quarterly basis, but you monitor things more frequently. So we have our team who actually monitor funds, and you regularly liaise with them. We've also got our responsible investment team. So that's looking at kind of climate change, making sure that things are environmentally friendly, or looking at how we integrate that within our solutions. New business opportunities. So since I've been with Hymans, I've had the opportunity to actually get involved with winning new business, which has been really exciting. Report writing, a lot of things that we do revolve around reports and so on. There's a lot of things that we do. Anyway, Emma, next slide. Thank you. But how does this translate into day-to-day work? So, for example, what have I done this week? So yesterday I went face-to-face and had a meeting in person. So we went out to a company and delivered a presentation to graduates, essentially, for their new pension plans. So they've just joined a company, so they've joined the pension plan. So really talking to them about what their plan is. So that was yesterday, and then tomorrow we have a meeting with our client, and we've also got some investment managers coming in to talk about the funds that they offer, and to talk about things that people have done previously in the funds. So it's quite a varied week, really, and it can go from one end to the other quite quickly, and you've got quite a lot of variety, really, in what you're doing. And here's just a couple more things on the slide here of other things that you might be doing on a regular basis. Yeah, I think that's probably the key things that I do. So, and now, does anybody have any questions? I think we've had a few come through on the Q&A box, so I think Laura's going to manage some of those.
Yeah, we've had a few come through already, but keep them coming in. So the first one, I think we'll just touch on. Emma's already, like I say, Emma's already touched on this one, but just to reconfirm the opening dates for our programme. So our graduate programme is opening on the 20th of September, and our interns are opening on the 4th of October. This year we've got a closing date on them, and as Emma said, the grads closing date is the 31st of October, and interns is the 11th of November. The process after that is quite a lengthy process that we go through, but for grads in particular, we're hoping to have everything wrapped up by Christmas, really. So you should know by then whether you would have secured a place in next year's programme.
Great, thank you very much, Laura, and thank you for sharing those slides, those links in the chat box. Hopefully you can all see those as well, just to give you a lot of information about our graduate and intern programs and also our experienced hires. So thank you for sharing those, Laura.
Yeah. Emma, I've got another one for you. So I've got a question coming in saying, how important are transferable skills for those without relevant experience for experienced hire roles?
Yeah, so transferable skills are hugely important, and we hire a lot of people that don't necessarily come from a kind of pensions consultancy background. Rebecca being prime example, coming from an engineering background, but has those transferable skills to come in and do well in this role. What we would always say is, if you're unsure if you meet the minimum requirements, please do reach out to the recruitment team for some further guidance, but please be rest assured that transferable skills are hugely important, and it is something we look at and we are reviewing CVs.
Yeah. Great. How many hours do you work in a typical day?
So I can probably start this and then maybe pass to you, Rebecca, just to give a bit more insight. So at Hymans Robertson, we very much appreciate the value of work-life balance. So we speak about it a lot, and well-being is something that's really at the forefront of everything we do, and everything we do really does have an employee focus. So we recognise that within all of our roles, there may sometimes be an element where additional hours are required. However, we ensure that that does not become common practice, where people are working a lot of hours over their standard hourly week. So our standard week is 35 hours, and I'll maybe pass to Rebecca if that's okay, just to chat about maybe what your experience is.
Yeah, so really echoing what Emma just said. So you're generally not really expected to work above your standard hours. You do find sometimes, because we generally do client meetings on a quarterly basis, so sometimes as you're getting towards the end of each quarter, it can get a bit busier, but you're not going to be expected to work until midnight or that kind of feeling. It's 1 or 2 hours at most, really, that you'd want to put in really to get your work done. That's all. And we also, within the DC team, we have weekly calls so that we can manage the work between us, so that no one is sitting idle while somebody's really busy. So the work's shared out quite equally.
Great.
Thank you.
Right, so just having a wee flick through some of the other questions that have come through. Does Hymans offer placement via programme for postgraduate students? So we have an industrial placement programme, which is a 9-month programme that's based from our Glasgow office and our actuarial specialist team. Not opened that programme yet, but we are looking to open that probably the same time as the intern one, if that would be of any interest to anyone. And the same with Insight Days. We tend to run them more at the beginning of the year. So we're probably looking to have our next Insight Day either February, March next year. So keep your eye on the website for updates on those ones. Right. Emma, you might be able to answer this one. What is the hiring approach to experienced individuals that are recent graduates?
So it really depends. So if you are a recent graduate, but you're not looking to apply for a graduate role, you're maybe looking to apply to one of our different roles, then you would go through the experienced hire process. So that would be submitting a CV and going through the interview process. If you did want to go through the graduate, it would be the application form, the numerical test, situational judgment test, and then the face-to-face interview. So different for experienced hire and graduate, but if you are a recent graduate that's looking for a non-graduate role, possibly within our insights and analytics team, or maybe one of our business units that don't traditionally support the graduate, then we do welcome that as well.
Okay. And another one, I think for you, Emma, what do you expect to see in the personal profile section?
So I think it's just really a little bit about yourself. So we don't need to kind of know everything about you, but really just what is it that's interesting to you about this particular industry? What do you enjoy? And really relating that back to you on a personal level. So there may be you really enjoy problem solving, you really enjoy, some people just like to put in some of their maybe their hobbies as well. That I've had people in the past talking about that they're maybe at the Commonwealth Games, or they're doing something really interesting. It's just to bring a flavour of yourself to the opportunity. I think that now Hymans is one of those places that we really want you to be able to bring your truest self to work. And we want to see that come to life in your application form as well, knowing a little bit more about you and making sure that you're able to kind of be yourself on both your application form and at work within Hymans.
So, kind of following on from that, do you think is experience essential for grad and intern roles?
No, and experience is not essential. So we do have a minimum criteria. So for our graduate roles, it is a 2-1 in any discipline, but experience is not essential. We have a lot of our graduates that have went straight from school to university, possibly some with part-time retail jobs, maybe some hospitality experience, but not all. But generally, we'll not really have people with experience in the industry coming in at graduate level. So absolutely not essential.
Great. And Rebecca, I think I've got one for you. How much technical knowledge is required during the summer internship application selection process?
So you don't really need any prior knowledge. I'm reading up about what a DC pension is and what a DB pension is probably puts you in good stead. But we don't expect you to have any prior knowledge at all coming in.
And I think just what's important there is really just reading the spec and understanding what strengths we're looking for. So really just being able to demonstrate those key strengths. Now that might not be pension knowledge, it might not be DC or DB knowledge, but really just understanding, are we looking for someone that's really good at problem solving, and really just making sure that you're bringing that to the forefront and really bringing that out in an interview or in your application form.
Great. We've had a few questions coming through about whether grads can apply for the intern programme. So the minimum entry criteria for both our programmes are exactly the same. As Emma said, a 2-1 in any discipline But for our intern programme, we ask that you also be within your penultimate year at university, so that you can do that summer intern, go back for a year, and then potentially be offered the grad place with us the following year. So if you've already graduated, then I would definitely advise you to apply for the grad programme.
And our intern programme is a huge feeder for our graduate programme. So we have a lot of people doing internships with us in summer and rejoining us the following September, following a successful placement and the offer of a graduate opportunity.
Yeah. We've also had a few questions about international students and whether we sponsor Tier 2 visas. So we do currently, sponsor international students. I believe, maybe Emma, you'll be able to answer this a bit better than me, but I believe we do our best to try and secure the sponsorship for all the grads that we do offer a place to.
Yeah, and we have sponsored people that are starting with us on Monday. Some of our graduates are international students, and we have sponsored their Tier 2 skilled worker visas.
Okay, I'm going to have you. How many vacancies are open for the internship, and how many can you apply for? So if you were to apply for the summer intern programme, you don't really apply for that once. It's the same process that you would go through regardless of how many times you would apply for it. The application process is quite lengthy, but to get to the end of that, we really think that you've done really well to get through it. So I'll hopefully briefly go through what that entails. So initially will be your initial application form, and it'll ask you sort of various questions, but the main ones that we want you to focus on are what you know about Hymans, and what you know about our culture, a bit about problem solving. So there's a few questions in there that we asked you to write a few bits about. We also at that point check that you've met the minimum entry criteria of a 2-1 and things like that. So the next stage after that would be the online numerical test, which we would send out to you. So that's exactly what it says at the tin. It's an online test that tests that looks at your maths knowledge. I'm not technical in it at all, but I believe that all the actuarial kind of roles are really kind of maths focused, which is why we focus on that on the initial outset. The next stage after that is called a situational judgment test. And again, that's a series of questions and scenarios of what you would do in a particular situation. After that, the HR team do a review of the full app that you've submitted. Stage after that would be a telephone interview with one of the members of our HR team. And then finally, we get to the final interview with a few members of the business unit that you're looking to join. So like I say, it is quite a lengthy process, but definitely well worth it to get through to that stage. And a lot of the feedback that we've had in previous years is that although it is lengthy, it does help you get a better idea and understanding of the company, and kind of what your skills and things are as well, because our final interview is a strengths-based interview rather than competency-based. So it's about what you can bring rather than what you've done in the past. So as Emma says, experience doesn't really kind of play into it too much, because we recognise that perhaps a lot of people are coming straight from uni, coming straight from school kind of thing, and maybe not had that experience, so we don't tend to focus too much on that. Okay. Next, how many graduates do you take on every year? So it varies year on year. This year we're taking 28 that are starting on Monday, and for our summer interns we had 19. So I think it just depends on the business unit needs for our interns and our grads, but I think each year on year we up it all the time, so there's always opportunities there. Emma, again, maybe one for you. Could you give us some suggestions as an interviewer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can even give you some of kind of the questions that we have in our marking guides. So particularly for the grad and internship programme, what you're marked on is your communication. So your ability to build good rapport, ensuring that you are listening to the questions and answering the question fully. You're also marked on your understanding of Hymans Robertson. So again, going into that deeper level, not just the basic reading the first page of the website, but really understanding who our clients are, who our competitors are, what type of work we do, kind of the awards we've won in the industry, what our culture and value are, is really making sure that you've looked further than the surface level and really have a good understanding of what Hymans Robertson does, and actually can also relate that to why you want to work here. So speaking about perhaps how the values resonate with you, or how the culture is something that you want to be a part of and work in, whatever that may be, really making sure that you have done that research and can relate it back to really why you want to work at Hymans. Again, there is also some competency questions as part of the telephone interview process, certainly. And really we're just looking for examples of things like problem solving, possibly missing deadlines or working under pressure. So at the telephone interview stage for grad and internship, it really is just trying to understand that you have the key skills for the role. For the experienced hire side, depends from role to role, obviously what kind of technical skills we might be probing, but again, there will be an element of that technical questioning, so really understanding that you have the technical capability to do the role, but also just getting to know you. And we say at every stage of interview that it should be as conversational as possible. And we want to give you the opportunity to make sure that Hymans is the right fit for you, as well as us ensuring that you're the right fit for us. So important that you come prepared with questions and really making sure that you get the most out of the interview as well that you want.
Great. What is unique about the firm that has made it survive since 1921, given the many crises over the years, and the most recent being COVID?
Yeah, and I've only been here for 2 years, so I certainly can't talk over the last 100, but I'll give it a good go. I'll give it a good go. I think something that makes Hymans truly unique, and I've spoken about in the presentation, is the fact that we are a limited liability partnership. So we have the ability to make decisions very quickly. All of our partners work within the firm, so they'll have an active role within one of the business units. So we don't have any outside interests in our firm. So we have the ability to make decisions quickly, to shape the future of the firm how we want to do it, to make quick strategy changes where needed, COVID being a prime example. When COVID hit, we were all already fully equipped to work from home, so everybody had laptops, and the switch to home working was done very, very quickly. Also, during COVID, Hymans really prioritised employees. So we gave maximum flexibility to people that needed it. We ensured there was plenty of resources for people's wellbeing, including mental health, that has clearly been impacted during the pandemic. We ensured that there was proper people manager support in place. We gave additional training to people managers to really ensure that they were there to support employees through a particularly challenging time. So I think that Hymans has been successful because the culture has remained the same for a long, long time. And that really is that of looking after employees, making sure we're doing the right thing, and also with that partnership structure, being able to be in control of our own future.
And Emma, could you talk a little bit about experienced hire roles?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually currently have around 50 plus experienced hire roles on the go at the moment. So I would encourage you to look at our Hymans Robertson website. They branch across all business units. So currently I'm doing quite a lot of recruitment in the investment DB space. We're looking for a range of roles, including transitions analysts, responsible investment consultants. In actuarial, we're looking for newly and nearly qualified actuaries. We are looking for actuarial analysts. I know within insights and analytics, we are looking for developers. Within third-party administration, we're looking for pensions administrators. So we have a range of roles across a lot of different skill sets. So please do have a look. Not all of our roles are traditional actuarial background or investment background. We also have those digital focused roles, and we also offer third-party administration services as well. So we have a lot of roles in that space also. So I would encourage everybody to have a look at our website and some of our experienced hire roles as well.
Great. And I think we've got a nice wee question coming through for both of you. What would you say was your proudest moment working for Hymans?
Do you want to go first, Rebecca? Or are you happy for me to go first?
Happy for you to go first. Give me time to think. Thank you.
I think really seeing what we did during COVID for me, and I think that really was a demonstration of how Hymans put not only employees first, but actually the wider community as well. So we set up a hardship fund during COVID, where employees were able to nominate charities that they felt would benefit from a donation. And we have a separate charity called the Hymans Robertson Foundation, and they made donations to specific charities that were possibly suffering hardship during COVID. So whilst a lot of other firms were kind of battening down the hatches and really tightening the purse strings, I feel like Hymans really stepped up to the plate and demonstrated that we do still want to do the right thing. We do still want to ensure that the wider community benefits from Hymans and the work that we do. We also kind of put employees really first during it. We tried where possible to minimise any use of the furlough scheme, and where it was necessary and where we did have to use that, we also agreed to pay back the money to the government for the furlough scheme that we did use. So actually we paid that money back in full to the government as well. So again, just shows that corporate social responsibility aspect of Hymans, and it is genuinely a firm that cares, which I think also really sets us apart from some other companies.
I mean, yeah, I think, well, following on slightly from what Emma said, so last year we, during COVID, I mean, obviously around Christmas time, things were still quite locked down really. And we managed to get involved with a Christmas party for disadvantaged children. So that was like done over Zoom, and it was really nice to actually be able to still do something with people, to still come together and actually support people. And even though you couldn't really do a Christmas party in the normal sense of things, actually we still managed to make the most of it and actually give people a pretty decent day out of it. So I mean, that was a really good time.
Okay, so can you touch a bit on what a career path would look like at Hymans, and if the grads and the intern programmes involve rotations around different departments?
Yeah, so maybe I can touch on the second part, and then maybe Rebecca, you can talk about what a potential career path could look like in DC. Is that all right? Great, thank you. So our traditional graduate and internship roles do not involve rotation around departments. However, we do encourage development within Hymans. So if you spend some time in DC and see an internal vacancy coming up in potentially the DB part of the business that you're really interested in, that is something that we do support. We do encourage people to really diversify their skills and work in an area that they find personally motivates and challenges them. However, we don't have a rotation in practice as standard.
I think so within DC, what you'd typically see as perhaps your career path, and there's no time limit on things really. It's not like you go for 2 years and then automatically you're something different. It's a continuous learning process and a continuous kind of growth period. So you join your different client teams, and you generally start off doing lots of the doing, and then as you go along, you'll gradually build up. You'll get more and more experience, and you'll then be able to just gain a little bit more experience and start checking other things, and you'll gradually move up, and it's almost like a bit of a spiral. So as you go, you're kind of learning and moving into more responsibilities. So it's not as such clear steps, but it's a continuous process in which you do develop. And I think we are quite keen on giving people opportunities, helping people move forwards, and you're not boxed into a specific role. You do get different. If you're interested in something, especially within the team, you can say that you're interested, and it will generally happen. So there's lots of opportunities to grow.
Yeah, and just to point out, actually, one of our kind of mission statements on Hymans Robertson is to make this the best job you'll ever have, which we realise is a very bold statement, but something that we do actively work on to ensure that everyone walks through the door, this is the best job that they will ever have. And we recognise that in order to do that, we have to provide challenging opportunities to people. We have to allow people to grow. We have to make sure that people are motivated and genuinely enjoy what they're doing. So we do want to provide people with meaningful career paths. We do want to provide people those opportunities to develop. So they absolutely are in place at Hymans Robertson.
Excellent. Got a quick question here about the test provider for the psychometric test. So we use an external company called ERAS. They do have, or rather they don't have kind of practice tests that you can do, but we do on our website. So whilst it won't be the exact what you'll get from ARAS, it'll give you a flavour of the kind of thing to expect when you're doing your online test. What is the best thing about Hymans for you?
I think for me, sorry to sound like a broken record, but I think just really that employee focused. And I think for me working in HR, it's so important that employees really do have a voice at Hymans. The Hymans really do try and do the right thing, which I think is just so important to be part of a company that does that. I think as well for me that the variety of work that I'm able to get involved in. So again, they really want to make sure that we're able to grow and develop our careers. So I'm constantly asked, like, what would you like to be involved in? What projects interest you? What would you like to do? So you're very much not pigeonholed. You do have your day-to-day job, which is as expected. However, there are several projects that I'm currently involved in that don't necessarily fall into that box of HR advisor. So really do get the opportunities to grow my skill set there, which I think is so important.
And I guess kind of following on from that slightly, if you could change one thing, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. What would I change? I don't know, Rebecca, is there anything you can think of just while I'm having a think?
I don't think so. I mean, there's not particularly anything that I don't enjoy. I mean, of course, you know, sometimes you've got your favorites and sometimes there are things that you know, naturally you don't enjoy quite so much, but there's nothing, that's just life really, isn't it? You get that with anything you do. So I don't think there's particularly anything I would change as such. So
I think for me as well, I think the really important thing, just on that question, what we would change is we do monthly employee engagement surveys. So every single month we send around an anonymous survey to every employee and ask them to give their views on certain things in Hymans. So actually it's a really good opportunity at that point for employees to express their views. So it never really gets to a point where you get something, you go, I really wish I could change that, but nobody's listening to me, because we regularly have those opportunities to talk about what we would like to change, where we would like to see change. And actually a lot of times senior managers come back in your comments and want to work with you and want to understand where the frustrations lie, how do we fix those. So whilst we're not saying, oh, everything's absolutely rosy, there's nothing we would ever change, it's just that Hymans just gives a positive, constructive outlet to be able to make those suggestions month on month.
Having a wee flick through any questions just to make sure I've not missed any. Can ACCA candidates apply for the roles?
So yes, we do encourage kind of people from all different backgrounds and qualifications to apply for some of our roles. However, it won't be suitable for all of our roles. So if there's any roles that you're unsure of, if it is a suitable qualification, then please do just ask the question, reach out to the recruitment team. We do have within our third-party administration team, we do have quite a few roles that are looking for an ACCA background in particular. So that is something that is called out and specified. For some of our grad roles where we require a 2-1, if you have that in conjunction with an ACCA, then absolutely, and that is more than welcome as well.
Quite an interesting one here. Can an international online master's student at a university in the UK but reside outside of the UK apply for the graduate programme?
Yes, so we don't just look for degrees from UK universities. We are able to look at degrees from international students. If you currently reside out with the UK, that is not an issue. However, you would need to reside in the UK to work at Hymans, in which case we may be able to support that visa application process for you.
And just a quick one, will we get a copy of the slides? So I know that this session's been recorded, but I don't know if we're able to send round the slides, but we can definitely, if they are, I'm sure that won't be.
Yeah, we can certainly find out for you. Apologies, I'm not 100% sure if we're sending the slide round, but as Laura said, the session is recorded, so hopefully if you want to go back and look at anything again, then please do. And Laura has in the chat box put a lot of information as well, which expands a lot of things that we spoke about in the slides. It really gives a lot more detail on our grad intern programmes, also our experienced hires as well, and really the process that you would go through for each of those roles. So hopefully that is enough detail for you along with the recording, but we'll certainly see if we're able to share the slides.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions that they'd like to ask at the moment? nothing coming through.
No. Great. Well, we have a couple of minutes left, so hopefully we have managed to answer all of your questions within time. So that's good. So we are coming to the end of the session now. So we hope you all enjoyed getting to know about Hymans, and we hope you found it useful. Please don't forget that applications for our grads and intern programme will open on the dates that Laura has specified. So if you need further information on that, then please do reach out to the recruitment team. They're open for roughly 5 weeks, so please do just keep your eye on those dates and don't miss it if you're looking to apply. As I said, you can also refer to our website and the guides that Laura has shared, and they're in the chat box, so hopefully you can see them. And the session is recorded and will be added on the Skills Workshop website after the session, so please feel free to go back and have a look and share it with anyone that wasn't available to attend. And just a reminder that you can still register for all upcoming sessions. There are still another 39 firms to go. And tomorrow will be the team from CDC. So if you don't know about them, that is your opportunity to join. And they are specialists in investment projects around Africa and Asia. But they will be in better place to tell you a lot more about themselves tomorrow. So what I will do then is just thank Rebecca and Laura for joining me today and telling you a little bit more about themselves, and thank you, Laura, for helping us facilitate the Q&A. Please do feel free to connect with us all on LinkedIn. We're more than happy to do that. Send us any emails or follow the Skills Workshop on LinkedIn for the latest updates. And please always like, comment and share. We're more than happy to help. So as I said, I hope you found today useful. It's been great to come along and speak to you all. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. So thank you so much, everybody.